When I find myself in a really powerful spot, it's when my vision is about the person I want to become, not the things I want to do or achieve or money. Okay. And I can tell you from experience, the times when I'm the happiest is when I have momentum on things that matter, when I have momentum on goals that matter to me. And I can tell you right now that the financial goal is not something that adds any extra happiness to my life whatsoever right now. And I can tell you that for a 100% fact. I was flipping through Instagram this morning and I saw a quote and I wanted to do a podcast around this single quote. And I'm driving to the office right now, getting in a workout this morning. Yesterday, actually, before I dive into the quote, yesterday, I set up this new bike trainer in my home office, and there's no AC in the guest quarters over there on the other side of the garage. And so I've got this new bike, new to me anyway, a road cycle. I've never road cycled before. I've done a lot of mountain biking, but I wanted to switch it up. I wanted to do something more for the fitness side, something I could do anywhere. And I bought this thing called Wahoo Kicker, and Kickr, I think it is. And you essentially hook up your road cycle to this thing, the back tire, the back wheel, you take it off and you hook it up there. And you use an app called Zwift, Zwift. So if anyone is on Zwift, I'm on Zwift now. Check it out. And I'm going to start sharing my rides on Strava. So if you're on Strava, go find me, Trevor Mauch, M-A-U-C-H. Friend me up. Let's follow each other along on our fitness journeys. But it was so much fun. I hooked it up yesterday. I put in about 25 miles. And I was sweating like a pig. And I'm not a guy who usually sweats in my workouts. But it was hot. I need to get air conditioning in the guest quarters. But that was a lot of fun. So this morning I woke up, you're going through my morning routine, and the last part of it's kind of flip through for a couple minutes on Instagram, check out my DMs. I do check my DMs, so go follow me, y'all, on Instagram, just trevor.mauch, M-A-U-C-H. And this quote rolled across my screen that said something like this, okay? It said, it may take 10 years to have the year that changes your life. It may take 10 years to finally have the year that changes everything. And when I saw that, it really struck me, because number one, it's so true. Number two, I think in general, as human beings, our natural tendency is to want things now. It's not our natural tendency to have patience. It's not our natural tendency to want to give up something today in exchange for a better future tomorrow. It's our natural tendency, like if you're to look at animals as an example, right? If you look at animals, animals don't really know the concept of saving today or sacrificing today in order to have a greater future tomorrow or next week or next month, right? If they see food there, they're going to go eat it. They're not going to go sock it away and save it away somewhere for tomorrow or 3 days from now. They just don't know the concept. If they're hungry now, they're hungry now. They don't know that they shouldn't eat all of it today and they should save some for 3 days because they're going to be hungry in 3 days too. Animals just don't have that concept, but human beings do. And so while we have the concept of knowing that we can save, knowing that we can be patient and sacrifice today in exchange for a better future tomorrow or next year or 10 years from now. But it's really, really hard for us humans to do that, because like I said, we have the animal instinct. We want things today that we want. And if we don't get it, we switch up to try something new. You switch up to try something new. You switch up to try something new perpetually until you're in this cycle that you're never able to reach what you want to reach because you had this lack of patience and this lack of long-term mindset, believing in the vision and the plan. And so therefore, forever, 10, 20, 30 years, you're going, man, I just wasn't able to make it work, man. Maybe being an entrepreneur wasn't right for me, or maybe XYZ wasn't right for me. But I don't think that's the case. I think what happens is like I said, we're impatient. We need to flip our mindset over to the mindset of, it may take you 10 years to have the year that changed your life. Okay. And I've talked about my story a ton on this podcast. If you're new to the Carrot Cast, go back and listen to the archives, and we'll link up some of the episodes below. There's one where I talk about I think it's my 8 life decisions that got me where I was, at least that time that I recorded it in 2017, probably it was 2018. There's another 1 or 2 life decisions that I would add to that now that would make 9 or 10. So maybe I'll do an update to that episode soon, but we'll link up the 8 life choices or 8 life decisions. So when I first got out of college, I had bought a rental property when I was 21 years old. And at that time, I think, 2021 is when mentally my clock started ticking, right? It's like mentally I had this vision for who I wanted to become at that time, where I wanted to go, what I wanted to do business-wise possible. I had no clue what I wanted to do business-wise, but I knew the type of income I was hoping to bring in. And I knew that I wanted to get freedom as my main goal, not to buy fancy cars and Lamborghinis and stuff, okay? So that was when the clock started ticking for me, when I was probably about 20 years old. And probably when I was 23, 24, I wrote down my first life list, maybe 25, 26, something like that. It was about 10 years ago. I'm 38 now. And yeah, it probably was 2008 or 2009 when I first wrote it, around there. And anyways, since my clock was ticking, it's like, well, shoot, your clock, to me, your clock starts ticking as soon as you have a vision for where you want it to go, who you're wanting to become, okay? So that's step one is we have to have a vision for who we want to become. Who's the person that you want to become? Now, notice I did not say how much money you want to make. Notice I didn't say have a vision for, your business in 10 years, okay? Yes, you should have a vision for where you want to go. You should have a vision for the impact you'd like to make. You should have a vision for the type of business maybe you would love to have in the future. And I think it's very healthy also to have a vision for the income that you would love to generate that supports your freedom, okay? I think it's healthy to have those visions. But the most important vision to have is the vision of who do I want to become? Who is the person that I want to become? And I think that's the part that most people miss. Okay, most people miss that vision. They're so locked up into vision boards with this fancy house and this fancy car and stacks of money in the vision board. And they're so locked up into the picture of the vacation, the tropical vacation, all the stuff in the vision board. But they almost forget to create the vision of who they personally want to become. Who is the person I want to become in my life, right? One of the quotes I shared at our last Carrot Camp that so hits me is the definition of hell for me is meeting the person that I could have become. At the end of my life, meeting the person that I could have become. And you know what? That to me is one of the worst possible things that can happen in my life as well. At the end of my life, meeting the person I could have become because I didn't make the right choices, or I didn't have a vision for the person I wanted to become. I had a vision for the things I wanted to have. And I want you guys to analyze that. What's your vision of right now? Is it the things you want to have? Okay, that's not a bad thing, once again. That's what my life list is for. I have a life list. It's things I want to experience, things I want to learn, achievements I would like to have, places I'd like to go. Things like that, people I like to meet. That's in my life list. I think that's really healthy. That's kind of a fun list to check some stuff off. It gives me some direction on creating magical moments in my life. Go check out the Magical Moments episode that I did recently. I had an amazing Instagram DM from Forrest McGee, Carrot Camp alumni. He sent through a note in there where his son's going off to college, and he listened to this episode and he said, man, I'm going to make a magical moment. And so they had an amazing final sending off day before they send them to college. And so that to me is what the life list is for. That's not my goals. That's magical moment territory. Okay. I want to create more magical moments. And that's one of the things my life list helps with, but that is not my vision. Okay. When I find myself in a really powerful spot, it's when my vision is about the person I want to become, not the things I want to do or achieve or money. Okay. And I can tell you from experience, the times when I'm the happiest is when I have momentum on things that matter, when I have momentum on goals that matter to me. And I can tell you right now that the financial goal is not something that adds any extra happiness to my life whatsoever right now. And I can tell you that for a 100% fact, okay? I've said before, just for context, I started out not making hardly any money. My first year as an entrepreneur, I did about $16,000. It took me probably 3 to 4 years to start to make $100,000 a year, maybe 5 years. And then it took me over 10 years to finally build a business that would bring in $1 million a year. And now I'm 38 years old, and I started off as an entrepreneur right out of college, 21, 22 years old. And guys, this is, 18 years later or 16 years later? Okay, now I'm finally worth tens of millions of dollars. That's awesome. That's cool. Okay, but the things I look at and that I'm the most happy about are not the zeros in my bank account. Okay, like I said, those are diminishing returns. After you get maybe $400,000 or $500,000 in the bank account, everything for me anyway was a diminishing return. Okay, it didn't give me back the value that I had thought that it would give me once I had the $1 million in the bank or the 5 million in the bank or whatever it is. Okay, that's all diminishing returns. So when we start to look at that quote that I found on Instagram, that it might take you 10 years to finally have the year that changes your life, that is what happened for me. Okay, so for me, the year that finally changed my life was probably, there were several years that changed my life. 2011, 2012 was a big year that changed my life as far as mindset shift, but then it took another probably 4 to 5 years for the income to really hit phases where I never thought I would actually ever get to, honestly. Okay, so that was right there. That was about 8 to 9 years it took me to finally have this shift where financially things just really took off. And so if you're in a spot where you're a year in or 6 months in or 2 years in or 5 years in or 6 years in, and you're just pressuring yourself and you're wondering, it's like, oh my gosh, when is this business stuff going to take off? I would really, really encourage you, I'm hopping out of the truck right now, headed into the office, but I'd really encourage you to stop putting all that stock into your happiness being tied to the goals, the happiness being tied to the money. Okay, put your stock into that vision of the person that you want to become. Who do you want to become? And if you're looking for examples, try to find 2, 3, 4 people that exhibit traits that you absolutely admire. What are some traits you admire from this person, from that person? For me, I've got certain people who have very specific traits where I'm like, man, I love how that person shows up in life. I want to start to emulate that part of them in my life. Hey, I absolutely love it how this person shows up in their life. Man, I want to emulate that in my life. And so you start to piece together this vision of the person you want to become. And now that is where you get momentum. That's what you want to focus in on. That's where happiness comes from. That's where fulfillment comes from, is continually getting momentum on marching forward to being the person that you want to become. And I can tell you once again, I had one of the biggest financial months ever in my life about a month and a half ago. Pretty much every month is that now. But I can tell you that right there, like I acknowledged it for half a second. And I wasn't in an amazing spot probably a month ago in the middle of my sabbatical because I'd stopped working out. I'd stopped really growing internally. I stopped some of those habits. I had stopped my accountability group, which is still going. I'm going to be jumping right back in there, guys. Chris, you're still crushing it, man. Charles, great job, dude. So I'm going to be jumping back into it. I'm going to start doing a bunch of bike riding now, riding 100 miles a week, and doing some other stuff. But now I'm starting feeling momentum again because I'm improving myself personally. I'm once again triggering back into, okay, I kind of got into this soft period again for 2 to 3 weeks. Happiness started to dip a little bit. I had my largest financial month ever. So you start to look at that and go, oh my gosh, well, why would your happiness dip? Because it has nothing to do with income and everything to do with progress and momentum on you yourself becoming a better person, getting closer to the vision you want to become. So 2 action items here. Number 1, if you do not have a vision for yourself, for who you want to become, for the person you want to become, that's the first thing I would do. Write down some of those traits from some people that you look up to, and then start to put those patterns into your life. I did a training on being versus becoming, a podcast on that. We'll link that one up as well. That's an amazingly important episode, being versus becoming, and walking you through my habit trigger process to ensure that you're becoming the person you want to become with every choice and every decision. And then number 2, y'all, is make sure once again that you do have goals for magical moments, your life list. It's important to have financial goals, but your happiness, guys and gals, is going to be gained from improving yourself personally. So look at your calendar this week. What does your calendar have in it? Is it all business stuff? Is it all business meetings, chasing that almighty dollar that I know for a fact will not give you happiness? Or is it full first of things to become a better father, husband, wife, sister, mother? Is it full of things to get you in shape and get you high energy? Is it something that you wanted to tackle for a while, like a hobby, learning how to play guitar and stuff like that? If those types of things are not in your calendar and it's all business stuff, I can tell you you're going down the wrong path. You're going down the wrong path. Okay. Last thing here, guys, be patient. It may take 10 years to finally have the year that changes everything. All right, guys, have an amazing rest of the week. I'm going to head up, get in my workout, and then go grab birthday lunch with my daughter. We just had birthday breakfast. I made some crepes at her request, and it's an amazing, beautiful day. We're about a month out from Carrot Camp here, fall 2020. So excited to have the campers come in. We're taking tons of precautions to make sure that everyone is safe and healthy and happy. And I'm just so grateful that we get the chance to connect with people and share more of these types of messages I'm sharing right here in person to change people's lives. Okay, guys, subscribe to this podcast and make sure you get first access to every single episode. And also, if you have not had a chance yet, please go over to Apple Podcasts or Spotify and give a rating and review and let us know what you think of this podcast. It helps spread the word, spread the message to more people so we can change more lives. Talk soon.